Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Doc and Queenie Facebook Live at high noon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today's alto and baritone day. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my gosh. I always feel sorry for the ones tuning in for the first time. You got to visit us on Doc and Queenie. They hop on and go, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're gone in the first 30 seconds, we know why.
Exactly. We had a friend, but it was short-lived. Bye-bye.
So how are you, Queenie?
Well, that's not even the point. Where are you, my friend? Holy moly.
I am outside in my little garden.
Your little garden that only takes up 500 acres. My goodness.
Yeah, it's been it's a work day. It's work Monday. The weather here is gorgeous.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
like in the low 70s, and there's a breeze, and I'm like, I better take advantage of it before it gets hot again.
Yeah. For those of you who are local to Kansas City, we have a town here called Spring Hill. Well, I'm talking about Spring Hill, Florida, and they are actually in mucho trouble right now. So if you are a praying person, please do so, because our super friend Phyllis Arnstein is in Spring Hill, Florida. And literally, I was on a call with her earlier this morning, and the eye is headed directly where she is. And so they have shifted and moved, and shall we leave, shall we not? And the governor already sent out, this is it, guys, evacuate. And so there's a watch, of course, first, then a warning. Whether it's a Cat 5, they're not totally sure. So all the different categories, et cetera. So Spring Hill, Kansas is probably fine, but Spring Hill, Missouri,
Yeah.
Spring Hill, Florida is needing your prayers.
Definitely nothing to mess around with. And hopefully, I know, what I know of Florida, there's one way in, one way out. So
Correct.
hopefully it'll move quickly.
Yeah, she said there's millions of people here, and millions ain't going to fit on a 2-lane road. So even going to the store, she said, is a challenge. So there we go. So thank you for that. If you are a praying person, we appreciate that.
Yes. Wow. That's right. Yeah, I've got a friend down in, I call her my fishing buddy. She's one of our faithful friends, and she's down in, she's just north of Orlando, and she said it'll clip them. They'll get rain and wind, but it's not the direct hit that everybody else is going to get to the west of them. So yes, definitely prayers.
Thank you, Lisa, very much for that. Back to your garden, my friend. Holy of moly. And honestly, not only the renovation and actually construction, it's not like you do little planting cute stuff. This has been a renovation and definitely a work in progress. It's very cool to be able to see the fruits of your labor. And so that really is a phenomenal background.
Thank you. Yes, it's still in process. I keep saying to people, because everybody's like, you done? No.
Well, frankly, in the gardening world, you ain't never going to be done, I would think.
Yeah. No, I'm actually harvesting the last of the summer harvest, and I'm conditioning the soil and getting it ready for one last hurrah.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm also building some cold frames, which is something you put over your plants to keep them somewhat warm from the frost and try and extend the life of.
Oh, yeah. I remember you talked about that last year. Isn't that PVC pipe stuff that you put plastic over?
Yes. I'm building some of that, and I'm actually going to do some different. I've got like leftovers in my garage from building the greenhouse. So I'm like, what can I do with this? so getting ready to do that. But the first thing is to plant here in the next week.
Yeah.
I've been waiting. Last week I took the entire week off because all I did was water what I've got left, because it was the humidity was incredible. I would walk outside and my sunglasses would fog up as soon as I hit the air. I mean, there's
no way.
100 degrees by 10 a.m. And you're like, I don't mind the heat. It's the humidity, and the humidity was just outrageous. So
it was definitely brutal. And of course, being me, I decided to cut the front yard, and I had timed that on purpose, but the front yard's super small. So that was only 15 minutes. And but on one of those days, and I did it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was dripping. So I'm just telling you what, it's this weather right now. In fact, my thing says 76 degrees. It is so gorgeous out. I hope, and quite frankly, like I say, to be able to see you on location looks amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I've actually It's noon. You'd be amazed at what I've done before noon already.
Yes, exactly.
So I've built a fence, I've watered, and I actually got a really nice, how we call them God winks or little,
Yes,
there's
yes.
always a God wink in the garden. Well, today I got to see, I was just actually setting up here trying to figure out where the best spot was for me to sit. And I've got sunflowers. I don't know what you can see because I've got my sunglasses
Oh, that's
on.
right.
But I've got sunflowers behind me. And
Uh-huh.
I happened to notice, I turned and looked, and there was a hummingbird. He was
Oh
checking
my
out the
God.
sunflowers. So I don't get to see that too often. So that was my little God hug, God wink,
Oh,
little.
absolutely.
So it
What
was
a
pretty cool.
cool thing. One of my friends has a hummingbird feeder on her patio, and she's got it all shaded in and all kind of huge trees, things like that. And she actually she did a video and three hummingbirds were at her feeder, and she filmed the whole thing. It was so cool to see, because she said seldom do I ever get to catch them, and this time she did all three of them, and it was just a very awesome video. And talk about a YouTube finale crescendo. Oh my gosh. And
Totally.
so I just thought, and it's so cool that you look around to notice all of this God beauty stuff. It's incredible what he does. Who created a sunflower? Dr. Laura Christine? No. And Dr. Laura Christine planted the seed that made the sunflower happen. And it's just amazing to be able to see his beauty.
Oh yeah, it's just, and I don't know if you know, I love sunflowers. I've got them all over the place,
I
and
believe it. I believe it. Now, what is the quote advantage of a sunflower? Do you do the seeds? Do you just do it for beauty? Do you just do it for color? What is the total
yes,
advantage of a sunflower? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's
yes, and I love the bigger the better too, of course. I did have a 12-foot sunflower, but it did not bloom for some reason. So
12 feet.
yes,
Oh
12
my
feet tall.
gosh.
And I've done those before, and those actually you can eat those seeds. A lot of the sunflowers I do grow are some of them are not edible. They're
Okay.
more just an ornamental.
Uh-huh.
But the birds and the bees love them, and so I just love planting. And there's so many. I've got probably 5 or 6 varieties this year. Um, which stay tuned soon. I've got how to collect seeds and save your seeds for next year. So I'm doing part of that is the sunflowers, so that it's just I love them, and it adds beauty, and it's just neat.
That is just, and your photo every time, and I don't know, honestly, I realize that you're talented. I get that. But your camera and your capture and the sunlight and all of that on the photos that you take of your actual flowers is phenomenal.
Thank you.
And the quality, just the setting of it, it's just seriously. And I have told you this before. It looks like a postcard. It looks like a paid background. It looks like a stock photo. It's just phenomenal how you capture the essence of every single growing thing. You really do.
Well, I actually picked a camera that I knew was good, or a phone that I knew was good for taking photos.
Wow.
So I've got 4 different lenses on this thing. So,
The camera only weighs about 800 pounds. So that's good,
yeah,
Doc.
if I can't take a detailed picture, I think there's something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but no, it's been a lot of fun, and there's and I think I've seen it on Instagram. It might be on YouTube Shorts. There's a song out there, or there's a phrase out there. You know how they'll have a background phrase, and it says something like, I've worked all my life, and now I've retired, and I take pictures of flowers, or
Yeah.
my plants, and it's kind of that way for me. I'm not retired, but like we've said, there's just so much beauty just in the simple things. And I think a lot of times people take that for granted. And I like to capture that with the photography and the videos and all that stuff.
Gosh. And just the fact that you noticed is cool. Thanks, Deb, for the sunflower pictures on her emojis. So I love that piece as well. But it really is when people say stop and smell the roses, that's not a metaphor. That is a stop while you're walking. I realize you've got a destination, but stop and smell the roses. And it really is. And when's the last time you smelled a rose? And you walk by the roses and all you think is, oh my gosh, I can't touch them. They're thorny. Well, that's fine, but stop and smell the roses for real.
Well, and it affects the body too. I mean, there's just so much that we're designed for. With we admire his creation, and it's created for us too. So that's pretty cool.
1,000,000%. It's just such a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and there's all parts of the country that are having challenges, and I realize that. Last week or recently, I'm trying to even think Debbie would know because she heard this too. California had an earthquake and a hurricane. And so I'm just sitting here going, oh my gosh. And so the Lord is doing a mighty work, and you're kind of like, yikes.
Yeah.
And so I hope that our heat was the worst that we had to suffer through, and that now we're on the quote, easier side of the weather, but holy moly. And it could still be, they call it Indian summer. And then of
Right.
course we have a hot spell in September-ish, toward the end, even sometimes just as one final hurrah. But the seasons change, and that really is a cool thing. We vary from 120 degrees heat to minus 40 degrees freezing. So there's a large variable in Kansas City for sure, which I would imagine makes your gardening a little more challenging.
Just a little bit, but right now is perfect. I actually planted some not cucumbers, some cantaloupe.
Oh my gosh! Now that would be fun to watch. Okay,
they're short term. They're midgets, so they'll be about this big. But it's a short term plant, so it should be ready in about a month and a half. So,
my goodness.
And they're growing. So I'm just kind of like, okay, weather not too hot, but just no snow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not worried for the SNOW word. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what do we have on our word wheel today, Queenie?
I'm telling you what, Doc, there's so many things that pop up, and that's why we were thinking certainly about Phyllis and what's going on with the weather and things like that. And quite frankly, I think in terms of it only happens to other people. Well, guess what? Once your network is large enough, as we are for certainly Doc and Queenie, but all the different networks that we do, it really doesn't just happen to other people. It happens to lots of folks. Right. So that's why, again, please keep all of them in your prayers, certainly, as we continue to watch what the weather is going to do.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. Hold your breath. Okay. It's always an internet thing. And I was on a call today, actually, and 2 people got cut off, just gone, disappeared. And they said, what happened to that? I said, I actually have no idea. That wasn't us. So I don't know. All right, let's shuffle these fabulous words that Doc and I have come up with over these last several months, anticipating our 3-year anniversary of Doc and Queenie. We are in our 4th year now, which sounds amazing, huh, Doc?
Yeah, it's and I can't see a thing. So what's the word?
The word is adaptive.
Ooh, adaptive.
Adaptive. And so that is such a great topic as far as punt and pivot and some of the things that we talk about. Adaptive. What does that mean to you, Doc?
I was trying to get in there before you, Queenie. I was trying to flip it.
Well, for adaptive for me is certainly a flexibility word. And I don't teach or train or even share the same way for everybody. And so that really is the adaptive part for me. My water is universal, of course, and my books are hopefully able to reach a broad variety of folks. But the adaptive piece for me is dance with the one who brung you is always my thing. And so I flex according to who's in the room. I train differently to level 2, 3, 4 folks if they have been to a lot of my events before than I would for a brand new person. And so I guess adaptive for me is flexibility.
Yes, I would agree. And it's kind of the same thing with me with the gardening piece. It's adapting when I'm teaching to the environment that the person is living in, because I teach all over the country.
Yes.
And not only the United States, but outside of the United States. So it's all dependent on their microclimate, their climate, their zone, it's all of those words, but it's all about the flexibility and adaptability to what they experience. Because, we were just talking about it. Our heat and humidity is nothing like, where Lisa is. She's in the desert, and, they walk outside and it's 115, but they have like 1% humidity, and we walk outside and we're a big puddle.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the same kind of thing with flexibility. And then, of course, like you said originally, Adaptive, I can attribute that to the punt and pivot. How do we adapt? And we adapt through the tools we use for our business, whether it's a YouTube, whether it's a Chat GPT, whether it's, learning more on LinkedIn, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. I think the whole adaptability and flexibility piece, you have to be open because business, I don't know any business really that's static. Do you? I mean, because
I can't even imagine, honestly, at this point. And when you were talking about that, as far as the social media pieces, I was thinking about that, and I guess I don't do it on purpose, but I do train differently, even in my water business, for the folks who attend that just want to help people. That's all that's on their mind, is helping others and not have their health challenge this, or there's something else that, or they're chemical free. I've got a person right now that smell is a huge deal, like smelling chemicals could put her in the hospital kind of thing. And so I teach or talk about the different adaptabilities, as you call it, regarding the water machine and the different choices that you have. And I guess I never really thought about it, because I've got a person that wants information about how to do this as an actual business, like the income stream type of thing. And so the conversation is different depending upon what the person needs. And so I think adaptive, maybe we're all adaptive in our businesses and we don't necessarily label it like that.
Yeah, I think so. It's all dependent on the client, and everybody's different, of course. And, to kind of not even shore up, that's the wrong terminology, but, like in your water workshops,
Yep.
every time it's different, and it's based on the questions, because people, it's whatever people are asking, and you punt and pivot, or you adapt your training to what the question is. Yeah. I mean, I think regardless of where we're all at as far as our business, you have to be open to be adaptive, because you're gonna, in my opinion, you'll repel people if you do the same thing for everybody.
Oh gosh. And quite frankly, for some of us, the term could be talking over someone's head. And so I can't talk about pH and hydrogen molecules and blah, 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 if someone just wants to know, what does the water taste like?
Right.
And so it really, I guess adaptive is a term that I hadn't labeled our training. And the longer you're in a business, I have found, the more adaptive you become, because you can kind of read the signals of your prospect. And I do think that that is adaptive as well, as far as flexibility. And think about, for you in your business, your business is determined completely by weather. So
Yes.
whether you're growing inside, outside, summer, fall, winter, spring, you have to be punt and pivot adaptive when you are doing your trainings. And have you ever taught someone that can do a micro garden? Like, do you have people that do teensy stuff, or do you have people that do big stuff like you do?
It's kind of all across the board.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and the adaptability, because everything is, cyclical in the seasons.
There you go.
That's why I've adapted to creating another piece of virtual training and courses and all of that, which I'm in the process of. But it's, yeah, I mean, when the season is growing, I adapt to whatever my clients need, exactly like what you're saying.
Yep.
And I also, another piece that we've talked about, I don't know if it's on Doc and Queenie recently, but it's also knowing your client. I mean, to be able to adapt. So if your client is a, go-getter, and they want it done yesterday, then you adapt to, well, here's the easy, and this will happen quickly, or, that kind of thing. I think that's a big piece too.
I had a superstar friend on one of my posting parties this morning. He's sweet. I love him. He's from Ireland. And he said, "How do I build my network fast?" And I thought, and so how do you build your network fast? Now, obviously there's skills, and I want to make $1 million tomorrow. and it's in the bank already, so that's cool kind of thing. And if that works for some people, then hallelujah. But that has not been my journey, is the fast part. And so everyone wants everything instant. I get that. I want to be a success yesterday. I understand all of that. But for me, it is definitely a journey. And the punt and pivot piece, think back to 2008. Okay. 2008 was it was a very large year for me, actually, because, people were needing to get their machines because they were afraid the prices were going to double. So that was number one. But 2008 was a struggle for lots of folks, especially, let's say, real estate. Then you shift into now what happens in 2015. Hello, what happens in 2020? Hello, what happens in 2023? And so you start thinking in terms of the shifting part and how fast people grow, and then how not fast. And the folks that are slow to grow sometimes quit. Yep. I'm not doing that. I tried it. It doesn't work. It's not a good fit. And so I appreciate that. But how do I get my network fast?
Good luck, dude.
Exactly.
Good luck, dude.
That was my thing, because my network has taken 16 years and I wouldn't give it up for anything in the whole world. And I mean that. And that's why I always say I'm an overnight success, and it only took 16 years.
Yep. Yeah. And I switched the type of networking.
Yes, you did.
I switched careers. I've switched careers twice and basically did a 180. So I'm working on rebuilding. Yeah. And it takes time, but that time, and that's another, I guess you could call it another mindset piece of what can you learn from each step of this journey, because it's a journey. It's not, you're not there in 5 seconds. It's definitely a journey. And what do you learn, and how can you use what you've learned to help others, and to also, add that wisdom to your business? So I know you and I believe that everything happens for a reason. And
absolutely.
There's a reason that, I think I don't know of many people that are overnight success, one day.
There are those. I mean, seriously. And I'm hoping that if they're an overnight success, they appreciate it, because sometimes people think that's the norm. I started today doing this. I drank 1 glass of water and tomorrow I'm a millionaire. Well, congratulations. And that's awesome. But that is not my journey yet. And so, but that also wasn't my goal. That's, I guess, the rest of the story. And I think what part of helping people fits into your plan. And so what product or service do you have that you can help people? And how will you meet the people that you want to help? And for me, that's where the social media piece comes in.
And are your expectations realistic?
See, right. And so how do I grow my network fast? Well, here we go. I know. I love that part. All right, Doc, before we say goodbye so you can get back to your gardening, I want to go to our topic section. And that way we can actually see if there is a topic that we could share today. Once again, we'd like to thank all of our faithful friends on purpose for being part of the Doc and Queenie community. We are in our 4th year now, every Monday at high noon, and we love being able to chat with you. Well, Doc.
I think you set me up on this one, Queenie.
I know, seriously. Doc is going to share with us her dynamic successes on YouTube. Take it away, my friend.
Well, I checked my about section on my YouTube channel, and I have 45,375 views so far.
Unbelievable.
And that's since, let's see, I was at 9,000 about a month and a half ago. Mm-hmm. So I attribute that to the shorts. I'm calling them reels. It depends on which platform you're on.
I know. They have to call them something different. Facebook calls them stories. Instagram calls them reels. YouTube calls them shorts.
Yeah. So yes, YouTube is, I in my opinion, YouTube and Pinterest are the top 2 in order to build your following, in order to get your business out there. I've had I always experiment with my platforms, and I think we've talked about this before, and I'll sidetrack slightly. I was on Instagram doing reels every day. I did that for a year, and then they changed their algorithm. which actually bumped me over to looking at YouTube. YouTube, it's bumpy sometimes on the reels. And because I shouldn't say pigeonholed into gardening, but that's a majority of my shorts. It's all dependent on what's happening for the week, for the day. But I have noticed that, my followers have gone up. And then, of course, the views. I've hit several of my reels have hit over 1,000. I actually just had one the other day that hit 2,000, and that was on my little mini air conditioner, which I always like to try out the weird stuff, and it does work, sort of. When it's 110 degrees out, you need anything that'll help.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, stand in the freezer. That's all you can do is just stand in the freezer.
Yes, but YouTube is one of my tools. I'm heavy duty into to videos, to showing people step by step how tos on to do things with gardening. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. Also, and I'm going to segue to, what you do, Queenie. You do your Wednesday Words of Wisdom Wednesday for Fun Fearless Females, to Linda Lane's group.
Uh-huh.
You also have read your books on there. You also put your Kathy chat on there. I mean, there's so many different ways you can use YouTube to educate people, because it's all about the education. People they want it quick. They want it now. They want it at their fingertips. And YouTube is a fantastic platform to do that.
It definitely is. And from social media to search engines, that is the piece for me that is so huge. And the folks that find me on YouTube are different categories than the folks that find me on social media. And doing a Google search, and of course, we always suggest that you Google yourself at least once a month. That way you can see what's out there, what platform is working, perhaps what platform is not, where you are focusing your efforts, and then you'll be able to see, are you part of the YouTube search engine? So when someone types in how to this or how to that, and you pop up, then yay, your search engine piece of the YouTube pie actually worked. And when someone types in Kangen Water, Kansas City, if you are on a Google search, did that work? And so it just depends on what you want to be known as or for, and where you want to focus your efforts, if you will. And so for you to be so huge on Pinterest and YouTube at this point, especially being able to help people with the gardening part and food, I mean, seriously, garden to table, when you do your recipes, and thank you for making them even my level, as far as the verbiage, and then cut this, don't forget to do that kind of thing. It really is a step-by-step process on how to. And your success speaks volumes because your numbers have exploded.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I love the educational piece. And stay tuned, because I have something coming up here in the next couple of weeks to help people with videos, YouTube, Clipchamp, those kinds of things.
Oh, so, wow, that's fun. And that sounds intriguing right off the bat. How to do a short effectively on YouTube, how to raise your traffic on a search engine as big as YouTube, et cetera. And then don't forget those fabulous hashtags, because being findable on a global scale is such a very big deal. I love that.
They make a huge difference. And if you were to go back on some of my reels, or I'm sorry, shorts, there I go again. Some of my shorts, or some of my videos, it's that the hashtags, you'll look at it and go, well, DIY. Well, a lot of people that are in construction will go look for DIY, but that pulls in those people. How to pulls in people, step by step pulls in people. So there's different ways, to hashtag, which I have learned. And that does definitely tie into the viewership and the success of keeping that engine, moving as far as views.
It really seriously does. I love that so much. And again, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
It's very fun to watch. I remember, can you please help me get to 100? Well, that ship has sailed. So congratulations.
Thank you, Queenie. Thank you. So absolutely. Look, guess what? From what I can tell, now the sun is in my eyes, and now I'm like,
that's all right. It's still a great look. And I appreciate the fact that you're on location today, because first of all, the flexibility of the internet just rocks my world. Being able to speak with people around the globe just lights me up. And then to be able to have you on location so we can see the fruits of your labor is the coolest thing ever. So thank you for taking the time to do that. right in the midst of your gardening day.
I know. I thought I'd take a break before I pull some weeds.
There you go. I love that, Doc.
Weeds grow when you don't pay attention to certain areas of your property. Did you know that?
I will write that down.
Yeah, there's your tip for the day. So everyone, thank you for joining us, whether it was live or on replay. Doc and Queenie Facebook Live at is always here on Mondays. You can reach out to Queenie at KathyWeaverKC.com or all over social media at KathyWeaverKC or Doc at KitchenGardenExpert.com or Kitchen Garden Expert all over social media. Thank you again, and we look forward to meeting back here next Monday at.
I'm not telling you again.
Oh man, she just refused. So until next time, have a fantastic week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Queenie.
Thank you, Doc. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.